Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with two more Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory sets. These are the final two story packs that just released from Big Bad Toy Store, and normally I would review each and every story pack individually, but these two I feel like probably should just be reviewed together because, you know, they both kind of include something that's not so great. I mean, I guess the first set did as well, kind of, because the Monolophosaurus wasn't that great, but this one here has obviously, this is Darius and Atrociraptor Ghost. Now, the Darius figure to me looks to be the exact same Darius figure we've already had a few times, so that's, you know, not super exciting to have that figure basically again given to us for, like, I think the second or third time now. And then this is the Kenji and Stygimoloch pack, but the Stygimoloch almost looks exactly the same as the older Stygimoloch release as far as I can tell. So again, a little bit, I guess you could say kind of boring as far as that goes, but still two pretty cool sets, just nothing to go absolutely insane over. Of course, the packaging is pretty much the standard when it comes to the Chaos Theory line, and then you can see the back of the packaging shows off the set as well as, you know, basically promoting the other two sets that are out in this wave of story pack sets. Same deal for the Atrociraptor and Darius sets. So let's pop these open and check them out. So there we go, both sets are now released from their packaging, and they do look pretty nice. Again, even though the Stygimoloch looks pretty similar to the older one, I actually really quite like that. I think the sculpt, of course, is great, but the paint apps on it, even though they're nothing special and fairly lackluster as a whole, they look kind of nice on it. And then we also, of course, have the Atrociraptor Ghost figure over here, which I believe that's the first time we've had Ghost in that pose, which was the pose that we previously saw on Atrociraptor Panthera for Jurassic World Dominion, although it kind of looks like maybe even it's like kind of crouched even lower. I can't really recall. I'll have to grab my other one and my my Atrociraptor Panthera and bring it in then, but overall the sets look fairly fun for what they are, so let's jump to a closer look and check them out from there. So taking a look at the Kenji set first, we have the Stygimoloch, and you can see, of course, it's the same sculpt that we had previously, and we actually had this sculpt very recently in a different Chaos Theory set, as we had it in the set that had the green version of the Stygimoloch. And this one obviously is much closer to your classic Jurassic World style colors for Stygimoloch, and you can see we've got the dome skull here painted out with like a light, sort of off-white tone. Different shade, but we have also an off-white here for the spikes leading off of the back of the head. As you lead down here into the face, you can see we have like a reddish-brown tone for the primary body color, but we also have a darker brown that sort of runs around the eye there, leads down toward the, you know, lower part of the face, and then up here toward the nostrils as well. Really nice, actually, quite subtle application of that paint. You can see we also have the beak painted out with a light tone, and then a different shade as far as the light tone goes. Actually, I think the beak is probably the same shade we see right here for those spikes, but we also have this light creamy color here for the underside of the lower part of the head as well. The eyes are painted with a black, and that's about it. There's no real pupil or anything in there, it's just a black tone, but it does have a really nice gloss coat. I actually really quite like the gloss coat used on that. Unfortunately for this light tone, as you can see, it disappears leading down into the throat, and then we don't have any of that color down here. There is a speckling, though. As you move through the body, you can see a dark brown speckling that's pretty abundant, honestly, through the entire figure. You do have some patterning up here on the back that starts basically at the bottom of the neck and then runs out here past the hip region a little bit, but not quite into the tail, and that would be a dark brown tone of color. That's also kind of subtle as far as its application. Like, it's not quite as intense or obvious as the older versions were, so definitely a bit of a repaint compared to the older versions of the Stygimoloch, and I would say a less exciting repaint, because first of all, there is the fax app if you'd like to add that to your collection. But when you take a look at the older Stygimolochs from Mattel compared to the current ones, like, there was just so much more paint application on the older ones. You know, they had paint running the entire way through the underside, on the back of the legs, patterning all the way through the tail and everything down into the legs. There was just so much more paint application on the older Mattel figures compared to these newer, much more naked ones. This one's also a bit larger than the older one was that we just had taken a look at, but it is the same size as the one we had in the other Chaos Theory set. The green Stygimoloch is definitely the same size as this one, but it is a pretty cool figure, just a little boring as far as the paint apps, but at the same time, the paint apps on it do look nice. They're just, you know, there's not much of it to go around, but I do like the tones of color color used and the way it is applied. Then we also have Kenji, and you can see Kenji looks pretty nice, definitely resembling Kenji from the show really nicely, actually. I think Mattel did a very good job on this Kenji. You can see again some variation of colors. We do have the lips painted out, the eyes painted nicely. You can see his eyebrows. The hair is sculpted nicely and painted with a dark grayish tone bordering on a black. It's like a pavement gray it would be. It's not quite what I would say is black, but like pavement gray. But as you move down, you can see he's wearing a jacket. He also has a white shirt there underneath. Obviously, the jacket is not removable. You can see his arms and everything are sculpted nicely. There's nice creasing throughout the course of the jacket. We have the same articulation on him that you find in all of the humans at this point. You can see, of course, the neck articulation, arms forward, back, out, away from the body. Same deal for the elbow, and also can swivel. And then again, as you move down, you've got the midsection as well as the hip, forward and back. Also can do the splits, and then we have the knee, and that can also swivel. So it's all the same articulation that you usually find for the human figures. As you move down, you can see his pants are a grayish tone. They have a very interesting texturing to them, like really quite weird looking. But they do look good for what they are, and again, you can see all sorts of creasing and stuff throughout the course of his pants, and then you lead down into his shoes, and the shoes also look pretty nice. They're painted with a brownish tone. There's not a whole lot in the way of detail to them, but, you know, if they are resembling the shoes that he wore in the show, then I guess that's exactly how they looked in the show. I don't really remember because I didn't pay too much attention to what shoes he was wearing, but you can see he does have a hood on the back of his jacket and everything. So definitely a nice looking Kenji figure. I would say he really very much so looks like he does in the show. On top of that, you also get a bandage that you can use to put on the Stygimoloch to kind of, you know, help heal it if it's apparently injured. I would imagine that's the point of this set. And that looks pretty nice, very reminiscent to what we had for the Tyrannosaurus Rex in the Hammond collection as far as the young Rex goes. He does also have a weapon. This is pretty nicely sculpted, very interesting colors chosen for the weapon, that's for sure. But overall, that looks pretty decent, just nothing, again, super impressive. Like, the detail looks okay, but it's not highly detailed. And we also have a med pack. Now, this med pack, you may remember, it's actually the same med pack that came in the Zia set way back for Fallen Kingdoms. So it is something we've seen before. It's now getting another release here. And as you can see, you can open it up and everything. And of course, it seems as though the point of this set is to save the Stygimoloch, so I guess a med pack would be a good thing. Then as far as the Darius set goes, we do have a Atrociraptor Ghost, and I did break out my Panthera just a moment ago to see if they were the same. They are definitely the same sculpt. There does not seem to be any differences as far as I can tell. So the only difference would be the colors, and you can see we have like a nice white tone, kind of like a light gray actually, or like an off-white here for the primary body color. And then we've got like this very interesting tone. Rather than the darker grays that you normally would see on Ghost, we have like a gold almost that kind of runs around the eye and then kind of patterns down. And you can see that as well as a very much so a gloss coat to it. It's shining, which I'm not a huge fan of, but Mattel does seem to like doing this when it comes to the paintwork of the faces of their dinosaurs. You can see a red eye with a black pupil, also very shiny, which it should be, of course, to give it that wet look, but the shine doesn't really differentiate itself from the shine of the gold color around it. Just all looks like a massive pile of scent and paint has been applied right there. But you can see we do have an alternate tone of color for the lower jaw, but just like the Stygimoloch, as you move down into the neck, it's gone completely, so there is no varying tones of color for the underside. There is a speckling throughout the course of the figure, and you can see it's a pretty heavy speckling. It's all over the place on this one. You have more patterning as you move down here into the body, kind of starting above the shoulder blades, and that does actually run out onto the tail a little ways, but obviously not the whole way through, because modern Mattel never seems to do that. Well, I guess I can't say never, but they don't do it very often, so you can see that that patterning again cuts off as you lead out. We will grab the fax app code here again, just so you can, oh, wrong side, so you can add this one to your collection. There you go, if you'd like to add this Atrociraptor Ghost. But there is no nail paint, same deal as we had for the Stygimoloch. There was no nail paint for that one either. It is a pretty cool looking version of Atrociraptor Ghost. You can see a really light pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth of this one, and the teeth are painted with kind of like a light yellowish tone like we usually see. I'm actually pretty happy to see that light pink because they don't use that tone very often. I think they should use it more, kind of mix it up a little bit more, as they really seem to favor that one specific tone of pink. So it is nice to see them switch it up a little bit once in a while, but it's a decent version of Atrociraptor Ghost, and very cool to see Ghost now in this pose. And then the Darius seems to be pretty much the same figure that we've had now, and I believe, I don't know if he had the yellow jacket before. If he didn't, then that might be the only new part of this set, is the fact that he now has this yellow jacket on. I know for sure he had like the blue shirt and stuff in that one set that we recently reviewed, but I think maybe he was missing the jacket. So that's probably the only real difference between this Darius and the Darius that we just recently had in a different set. So not really a whole lot to go over as far as he goes. We do also have his weapon here of choice, which you can see again. We can shock dinosaurs with, as it's got its like little kind of electricity, I guess, here out at the end. Has a nice translucent look to it, which is pretty cool. Again, just like the other weapon, it's nicely sculpted, nicely detailed, but not highly detailed. It looks good for what it is, but it's nothing super impressive. But what is cool is you can actually pull the electricity, end off, and then you have nothing up here, so you can kind of make it look like it hasn't been activated yet, and then you can put that back on, and now it is activated, I guess. And then just like we had in the Yaz set recently, we do have a backpack in this one as well, and again, same thing as the other one. Let me see if I can open this correctly. Yes, I think it opens that way. Yes, there we go. You could pop it open just like you did with the other one. It's just a different color, but looks to be pretty similar, if not the same backpack as we had in the Yaz set. And there you go, just in case you wanted to see the Ghost and Panthera figures, kind of displayed next to each other. You can very clearly see they are the same sculpt. No differences as far as these two go. Currently, I have the positioning of the head a little different on Panthera, but that's just because I posed it that way. But you can very much so see again that these are the same figures. So again, nothing super amazing, nothing super impressive. I don't feel like any of these sets would require measurements or comparisons, because they're all figures we've had in the past, just new paint variants or different humans. Of course, the Kenji figure is the only figure here that would be pretty much brand new as a whole. It's the first time we've had the more adult version of Kenji so far, as far as the sets that I've been able to get a hold of anyway, in the Chaos Theory line. So that's like really the only brand new figure. Other than that, we basically have repaints, and we've got Darius over there that just now includes his jacket. So no measurements or anything or comparisons, I feel like, past the point of what we've already done, are really needed for these sets. So we've got two more brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory sets now in the bag, and they're pretty fun. Again, they're just nothing absolutely amazing, nothing to go crazy over, but they're cool for what they are. Again, the Atrociraptor and Darius set is pretty fun. I do really quite like the fact that we now have Atrociraptor Ghost in this pose, and I think overall it's a pretty cool version of Ghost. Of course, we could have used a little more paint, like specifically the lower jaw tone of color leading down into the underside, and painted nails would have been nice, but it's not absolutely necessary, I guess, for the lower jaw color anyway. I would have really liked to have seen painted nails, though. But it is still a pretty cool looking version of Ghost, and Darius is fun. Nothing again spectacular, just basically the same Darius figure with an added jacket, but he's nicely done. Of course, he was nice the first time, he's nice this time, and then his extras are pretty cool as well. Definitely could create some fun dino toy photography, or just fun ways to display the set as a whole. Then you've also got the Kenji set, and I think Kenji is really quite nicely done. He's actually probably one of the nicest human figures I've seen in the Chaos Theory line so far, although I would say Darius currently is leading the charge as far as that goes. I would say he's probably the best as a whole, but Kenji is right behind him, and I think Kenji looks quite nice. They definitely captured his likeness. His sculpt is really well done, his paint is really well done, and of course the fun articulation we all know and love for the human figures from Mattel. You also have the Stygimoloch, which is pretty cool, but again, a very lazy repaint. A lot of these newer repaints, like the Monolophosaurus was really lazy. This Stygimoloch is really lazy. It's just sad to see what Mattel has become as far as the paint apps of some of their figures, because they just don't bother including enough paintwork on them, and they seem to be getting less and less as time goes on, and this Stygimoloch is pretty much a prime example of that. It looks pretty naked for the most part, although there is, of course, some decent color applied to it that looks nice. It's just there's not enough of it, and especially with that coloration on the underside of the head, you really would have liked to have seen, or at least I know I would have liked to have seen that run along the underside, and we don't get that. No painted nails, of course, nothing like that. So Very lazy repaint, but it looks okay for what it is. And then you, of course, have some fun extras with this set as well, with a weapon, a med pack, and the bandage for the dinosaur. But overall, nothing absolutely amazing, but they are fun for what they are. So if you are interested, I will include links in the description to where you can grab these on Big Bad Toy Store, because that is where I purchased mine. So make sure you check those links, grab them if you want them, and like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.